All right, everyone, welcome. It's been a choppy market. We're focused on really improving the technical foundation, creating a more and more powerful system. That's because we launched what's called Hummingbot API in version 2.7 and a new version of Dashboard. So API server has a database to store your trades and your order history, and it has a broker to communicate with any Hummingbot instances you launch from that API. In addition, it has a dashboard that you can kind of view, but it can also be exposed to other apps as well. So we're actually in the process of building out the MCP layer that will allow other apps to talk to it. So Federico's probably going to demo that in a future video. But overall, we think that this kind of like setup kind of really allows someone to deploy, basically the same kind of trading operation that a quant trading firm, like a professional quant trading firm would have. Now you can deploy yourself on a server, using Hummingbot in like 10 minutes. So I think that I really think that it opens up the possibility for a solo person to run a hedge fund. The highlight of the 2.7 release of the Hummingbot API, the simplest way to set this up is using the deploy repo. The 2.7 release notes explains how to set up and rerun the deploy setup script. So I ran the deploy script like this with bash setup.sh. It sets the credentials, like the password, the username that you use for dashboard, and the database that you'll be writing to. So now you've created the end file, and then now let me take down the container that I was running before. But once you kind of have all that, you can just run docker-compose -d. It will start basically this setup here that I mentioned. So it'll start the broker, the dashboard, the Postgres database, the API. So it'll expose the dashboard on port 8501, and it'll expose the actual API itself. So you can think of this as like this over here is the backend, and this over here is the front end. The menu works better than ever. We're still in the process of improving the UI, but overall, you can think of this as this is giving the UI for this, but you can also use the endpoints in the backend API directly if you want. And as a preview, we will be launching kind of like more kind of AI focused tooling to allow if you have like a Claude or OpenAI, ChatGPT, you should be able to, in the future, use something we'll be launching in the future to access this in a more natural way. But overall, I encourage you to try out with both dashboard and with the API directly if you want. The dashboard is similar as before. You can configure like strategies, and you can deploy them with Hummingbot. And under the hood, this is basically deploying individual instances of Hummingbot. One thing that's new in the API, however, is the ability to do direct trading. This is something that's kind of new because in the past, Hummingbot, it was only kind of like designed to deploy bots, kind of like processes that were managing kind of like, that was doing trading on your behalf. But using the same connectors, you can also place orders, cancel orders, get your active orders, get your trades, set position. In addition, you can also kind of define configurations, really the same endpoints available, everything here in terms of like setting, generating control configuration, generating scripts, fetching market data as well. And backtesting are all possible. Part of that, we also added the headless mode. Headless mode is actually what allows you to do direct trading. Kind of like because we're basically just running the connectors, by itself and kind of allowing you to access it directly. As mentioned, we also updated dashboard as well. So I encourage you to watch these videos if you want to really understand how to use the API. Let's watch Fede and have him introduce
why we created Hummingbot API to scale, automate, and control trading easily. And that's exactly why we created Hummingbot API. This API will let you create multiple accounts. Let's say that you have 3 customers, you can have 1 account for each customer. Connect the keys for different exchanges on each account. Track the portfolio in units and in USD value over time, defining the frequency that you want to collect that value across all your accounts. You can also trade, rebalance your accounts on all the exchanges that are supported by Hummingbot, that are plus 40 exchanges. You can also access to market data. You can get candles in real time, historical candles, order book, the snapshot directly, and you can also do queries to the order book. Like for example, tell me what is the resulting price of buying 20K of USDT in the WorldCoin USDT market on Binance. You can also get the trading rules, funding info is also available. And then you can obviously deploy bots. That's the interesting part. You can generate configs for the bots and deploy them.
A couple of weeks in our Hummingbot Live series talking about the new changes we're making to Gateway in the next release, version 2.8. So Gateway is our DEX middleware, and for a while it's kind of lagged behind the client because the integration was built a few years ago and hasn't really kept up with the changes in the rapidly evolving DEX landscape over the past few years. I'm happy to report the refactored project that we undertook at the beginning of the year is now almost complete in version 2.8. And 2.8 kind of really features a new architecture that is kind of allows each DEX connector and each chain to define its own routes while still adhering to a few base schemas. It adds things like Solana DEX support, classifies DEXs into 3 distinct categories: routers, which are like DEX aggregators like Jupiter or Uniswap router, AMMs, which are kind of Uniswap V2 style, and then CLMM or CLAM, where they're like Uniswap V3 exchanges where you can deposit and define a price range. Also want to cover, we're seeing more of these reward programs, the Miner platform, which has been running since 2020, so I think over 5 years now. So this week, Miner is paying about $5,000 in rewards. Miner will be launching something called trading competitions. Miner will also reward your trading activity as well, and giving you more ways to earn rewards across various markets. I think they also just announced extension of 2 campaigns, the XCAD campaign and the WOD, the wallet campaign on Miner. We also have a program called XRPLiquid, a program that Botcamp, our affiliated educational company, runs. This week's reward pool is actually 250 XRP. So we've seen almost 1 million of volume already from 91 market makers already in Epoch 14. There'll be a new market coming next week. Close out by talking a bit about the bounties. Yeah, so Nikita is our bounties manager, and he works with both exchanges who want to sponsor bounties. So there were a few fixes to the XRPL connector. Pay them to ML Guys, who is the maintainer of the XRPL connector. One note is that we're still only accepting new gateway connectors for EVM and SVM chains only. And basically, any connector you propose should use the existing Ethereum and the Solana chain connectors and not add a new chain connector. We want to make sure we have architecture that is consistent with those 2 chains first, before we consider adding new ones. And we are actually open to allocating HBOT. It's hard for us to see the issue because we don't have a team member in Europe. That's someone that comes from one of these affected countries, basically say, hey, I want to work on this and try to get things like this fixed. Our QA team highlight the top issues that people have reported. We recently did a pretty big cleanup on Hummingbot, closed a lot of the legacy ones. So that's why actually right now the number of open issues is much lower than what it used to. Yeah, so it looks like 1inch interested in funding the bounty. Looks like the next step is for them to kind of actually fund the bounty. I do think there are conversations happening on the bounties board to kind of open and fund bounties for connectors. Fede's been working on this MCP thing. So Fede, do you want to come on stage and do a demo or?
Well, as you can see here, if I search for MCP servers, I Dockerized the MCP server. So you can run it, you can just add this stuff. Here is with Ardonaci, but you can, David published the Hummingbot one. so you can use the Hummingbot one directly. So you see that the config is very simple. This is why it's a cloud code, for example. And once you have this added, you can just do like cloud. And then like if you do /MCP, you will see that it's connected. Docker should also start your MCP server, right? Open a short in WorldCoin for 300 USDT. Now I have these shorts here. Compare the prices of WorldCoin USDT on Binance, OKX, Binance Perp, OKX Perp. It will get all the prices.
This part is the most powerful part of it, because it's kind of like basically get this information from lots of exchanges. You see, like when you do arbitrage, this kind of stuff is really valuable to do.
Yeah. What are my positions? You should tell me that I have these two positions, like the WorldCoin and the. Yeah, you also will get the information from multiple wallets because you have multiple accounts, so it's going to work for multiple accounts too. So well, you can see that it says like get current positions, okay, and now I can tell close the two positions. If you're using, I don't know, 3 exchanges, it's very difficult to enter in each interface, or if you have 2 accounts, for example. That is basically what I wanted to show.
All right, guys. Well, yeah, we'll see you next time then.